So, good morning and welcome back. Glad to be back. If you've been watching the show, and there's probably only one of you that's been doing that, unless all these single hits are different people, you know that tomorrow I'm taking a little break. I'll be gone for 10 days. So, the next day I will be doing a recording back in the studio is June the 24th. So, I've been thinking about some things. I recently watched a movie that I had always thought I had watched. Oh, first of all, welcome to Who Am I? Who Am I? That show where we ask the question every day. It's not just a show. I mean, I call it a show because, you know, forms being what they are, you gotta call it something. What am I doing? I can also call it something else. It's the Who Am I project, implying the ongoing path and nature of this whole endeavor. In any case, I recently watched the movie The Secret. Now, I thought I had already watched The Secret, and I certainly knew the information, I am familiar with the law of attraction. I'm very familiar with the law of attraction. As a matter of fact, it is my life's work to study it. It and other things. I've got a few things in this basket that I have assigned to myself to pull together and figure out and advocate for what I want. Whatever it is that I end up, whatever the path turns out to be, that's my path. And it leads me into this studio where I talk to you. Actually, I'm talking to myself, but you are out there listening to me talking to myself. Frankly, there is only one of us here. So it's okay. And I call the show Who Am I? And the question is, who am I in reference to source energy? And who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? We can talk about all kinds of things because there's a lot of things that enter into this. The play and flow of history, because we're, in actual fact, the reality of our situation is we have come into being in the middle of some sort of movie that is in progress, that's been happening for a very long time. We call it history. And we've been telling the story of who we are and what's been happening to us for the last couple of thousand years. And all of that's very interesting and can be pulled into it too. Because at some point you have to physically understand what has happened to us as human beings. How we have been duped. How we have been fooled and sort of manipulated into the position of, sheeple consumers that we are now without any sense of the motion in our lives or where we're headed or what we even want or what is possible. This is actually one of my things that I would like to transmit to my fellow human beings is what is possible, what is easily and naturally, and I'm not even really talking about the spooky ooky magic miracle kind of stuff that the universe is capable of producing. Excuse me. I'm just talking about what is possible from a practical point of view as per our energy use. Where we extract our energy, how we extract our energy, and why we are doing it in the way that we are, and how we could do it different, and how that would change us, how that would bloom us, how it would be a game changer. The stranglehold that the fossil fuel industry has upon the structure and momentum of the way human beings produce their supply chain is what is killing the planet. It's what is causing us to kill the rest of the biofield. it's part of our being out of alignment with not understanding who we are, and especially with us not understanding who we are as source energy and not understanding source energy. And there's a reason we call it source energy, because it's where all of the energy that is fueling all things is coming from. Well, what is it? It's spin. What's throwing it into spin? Gradient density in a field of densely packed plonks, each and every one of them ready to go into spin depending on the differences in densities in the field around it. It's like a hurricane. Imagine a hurricane. This is Nassim's analogy, actually. What throws a hurricane into spin is some temperature changes at the surface of the water. But what that causes is some density changes in the field, in the local field, the fluid and the sky, what's going on right there. There's some density changes that happen, because you know how water changes density. It can go from ice to water to liquid to gas, depending on the temperature of it, and it's really very dynamic that way. Just a couple of degrees temperature difference at the surface of the water gives you just enough density changes in the field there. It throws it into a spin is created. We call it a hurricane, and actually it's pretty serious, and it doesn't take much to do that. Now, there are forces of gradient changes way bigger than that going on in the universe, in the multiverse. There's way bigger scales of gradient density changes than that going on. And in the field, it's the kind of thing that causes a popping Big Bang, throwing jillions of protons and different frequency elements into spin when it pops. And then that's why we have all the chemical elements that we have, is these forces throwing this field into spin. Any element of matter actually is a proton at the center. It's this Planck field spinning at different frequencies, and the frequencies, resonating with one another and being attracted to one another, and this cosmic spin going on all around us. Well, now that sounds soulless. It totally is not soulless. It is so not soulless. There is a God consciousness also. I talk about the universe in a practical way because I want you to understand that the physicality of the universe supports the spirituality of the universe. It is love. It is love. Liquid love is what the universe is made of, at the point where it all connects, where all of our needs, where all of our desires meet, is this one place we call universal consciousness. It's also not just universal consciousness. It's so mystical and wonderful. But I watched this movie, The Secret, and the only reason I brought it up is because there was an interesting imagery that they have in there about the mythology of the genie. Because the thesis of my whole show is we need to understand how blessed we are. And I'm not talking about the, whatever happens to be in physicality in front of you, although that plays into it. At some point, you start learning to focus your focus in the direction like you start noticing the positive aspects around you. You might start with a diary of positive aspects, as you get in the habit every day of moving through your life in a mode of noticing the aspects of things that you do prefer, the things that you do like. As you learn to focus in the direction of that which you prefer, your eye will be caught all the time. It would be, oh, I don't like that. Focus back on what I prefer. Oh, I see that. Oh, I see you. Don't like that. Okay, okay. Keeping my eyes on what I prefer. You're going to be doing that. But at the same time, you got to understand that the physicality, the actual mathematics and the physics and the structure of the physical universe and your practical reality life supports so the thesis is the universe is capable of giving us anything we want. You just have to know, you have to get clear about what you want and focus on what you want and nothing but what you want. And the momentum in that direction will build, and you will become the center of a vortex of attraction that is pulling in all of the cooperative components to the endeavor that you are, the desire you are focusing upon. That's how it works. Whatever you are focusing upon is causing there is a vortex of power that is right behind it. It's not even right behind it. It's right behind it in experience, but it's right there where you're looking. And depending on which direction are you looking, it tells you. So there's only two directions to go. Think about it this way. There's a jillion choices in detail, in specifics about how you want to get there. But there is only two directions. Imagine that. There is only two directions. There is where you want to go and where you don't want to go. The you I'm talking about is the one you really are. The one at the center of actually your physical body too. This one it's who you really are. It's who we all really are, and we've all got to learn to train our focus so that we can see each other for who we really are. Not the nonsense we might be being on the surface. That really doesn't matter. Although it does matter. Of course it matters. It's the stage where the game we're playing out is unfolding. And so of course it matters. But it doesn't really matter. We are all this divine interaction going on. And when we can learn to see who we really are, that's when we start pulling the really, really good stuff out of each other. Now, this universe is like a 3D printer, but it's really complex, and it's kind of, there's a depth to it. The way that you use it is you have to understand that it's all about your state of being. What state of being are you in? What does that mean? Where are my emotions? What signal am I transmitting out? That's everything, because that's what the universe is pinging off of. That's what it's that is the signal it's going to be responding to. Now, your real self is also pinging out a signal, no matter what your chaotic physical in your explorational mind, in your physical mind, it doesn't matter. That one can be pinging all over the place. It'd be nice if it would be pinging also this positive, large, long rhythm connected to all of reality that your source mind is doing. You're doing whatever you're doing. But your source mind is pulling cooperative components to all of your true desires. They are right there too. So if you would ever get your physical self into alignment with your eternal self, then things would go very, very well for you, actually. Things would, because the powerful, big cooperative components that are already and always in play based on the attracting power from your inner being's thoughts and its connection to the reality around you. That's always way more powerful than the little things that you're doing. You get into alignment with your big self and the cooperative components are right there. Or at least I believe that they are. Now, I'm still a hermit and I'm still operating in this laboratory all by myself, but I know that I'm in a larger field. And I know that there are people around me, and at some point, somebody's going to collaborate with me with something. I don't know what it is. It's going to be fun. That's all that I know. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have a very, very good time doing it, and great benefit will come of it. Those are the only details that I have been given at this time. But at some point, in any case, if you ever listen to this show and you feel a ping in your heart, you're like, I am one of her cooperative components. And I feel this project that's going to come into being as we explain this something. There's a nugget here. There's a nutshell here, actually. There is something here in a nutshell that is going to change the game. And the nutshell part of it is what's going to make it cool. Because it's like a pill you can hand somebody. And they take it and then they go, oh, that's what's going on. It's not this other thing that I've been taking so seriously. This one is way less serious. Although, in a way, it's way more serious because it's the whole universe. So I keep dancing around this one thing, the moment that I saw in The Secret that occurred to me this morning. It has to do with your state of being, has to do with the stance that you take to the universe, has to do with the transmission, has to do with the way that you're lining up to who you are, and, all that. It has to do with all of that. It has to do with you as source energy. It has to do with you as universal consciousness, and it has to do with the universe as a wish-granting machine. So this is how it works. It reflects back both directions. And they only showed it in one direction on the movie, but it occurred to me, and this was the profound moment that swept over me as I recognized the added dimension. So what they showed in the movie was the myth of the genie in the bottle. And what does he always say? And in the original myth, the wishes were not confined to 3 wishes. It was an unlimited number of wishes. But the genie always says, your wish is my command. And that's the universe coming back to you. Your wish is my command. And that's true. The universe is saying that. Your wish is my command. And so you need to focus on what you wish. You need to focus on your desire, not upon what is causing your desire to appear. What's causing your desire to appear, so your desire is peace. What is causing that to appear? The war that is around you, okay? So you can focus on the war or you can focus on peace. Now, it may be hard to focus on peace when in the physical manifesting reality in the moment is war. But there is more to reality than just the physicality in the moment manifesting. Because that thing is a rolling change. You step outside of that and understand that there is a dimension that gets... And when you realize that there's a dimension outside of the rolling manifestation, then you have a place to stand. And then you turn back and you look at the manifestation. And now you are in a position to actually be more effective. But here I have not got to the profound thing. So the genie says, the genie of the universe says, your wish is my command. And I was thinking this morning about lining up with your inner self, lining up with being in alignment with what the rest of the field desires. So being in harmony, in step, in sync, in joyful concert with the greater field around you, the greater biofield, the greater field of humanity. You know, we need to be in step with both of them, because both of them are linked to continued life. We need the threads of life of the biofield around us and the supply chain of the human field around us. So both of those things, it's best to be in step with the greater allness, without losing your oneness, your separateness. That's the key. To honor the allness at the same time. So it's a reflection back and forth. So the universe is saying, your wish is my command. As I link up with its desires and say to it in reverence with my... So I just like did a little praying prostate gesture saying, your wish is my command. And then when you do that, the universe rises back up and says, no, your wish is my command. And it works both ways, and it's absolutely mutually beneficent, mutually beneficial. That's the way the design of the damn fractal, infinite universe is. And of course it would be that way. Of course it would be that way. And you know, the universes, according to Nassim Haramein, and I believe this, the mathematics is pointing to the reality of this, that the multiverse is actually nested doll universes of different densities. But it's all, you know, it's all like this cosmic mental... it's not just an exercise, it's reality. Those frequencies are out there. You get on a frequency and you can experience all kinds of things. There's all kinds of things going on out there. It's a magnificent, magnificent universe. And my whole position in life, in this world, is to honor I have two goals. One is to understand the world around me for sure. I spend all my time going inward and adding things up, putting things together, postulating possibilities. Now, in this space, this hour and a half that I do, I try to stay away from resistance in this place. In this space, the assumption is everything is good. All is well. I push back against nothing. Everything is there for a reason, and I need to understand it. And from my point of understanding, I enter the flow in a place of non-resistance. My goal only ever to uplift or connect us, to help us understand who we are. I am no one's enemy, not even my enemies. You know, so if my country ever goes to war against anybody, I don't care. The person that the nation that they would send me to war against, I am not at war against. If I'm at war against anything, it is against polarity itself, because polarity in the quantum field, we are a field phenomenon, people. We are not just ourselves. And there is no us and them. There is only us here doing this. And so when you push back against the Nazi, yes, I don't like the way Nazis act, because what they are displaying is deep, deep, deep Wetiko disease, incredible sustained momentum of misalignment, absolute walking in the opposite direction of what they and everybody else wants. But there is a soul inside of the Nazi that is trapped in a direction of focus who is not understanding who they are. I believe that the way to defeat the Nazi is not to beat him on a battlefield, not to allow it to get all the way to where we have to, defend the last scraps of, sanity on the other side of, the horror of a big gun. Howitzer. Anyway, we can't let it get to, we can't let the storm get to that point. We've got to understand these storms of chaos before they get, we have got to get out ahead of them. We got to get out ahead of them. And what does that mean? It means we got to understand who we are. And we also have to understand that we have been pitted against one another, fighting for scarcity of resources when that's not necessary. It's sort of been an arranged or manipulated paradigm, an artificial paradigm that we're all living in, that really is not the abundance that comes from Source itself. So what's causing it? We're burning fossil fuels to run our civilization, and our civilization is amping up with higher and higher needs of energy. And that's not a bad thing. And the false choice of we either dig up all the fossil fuels and just burn it for the next 50 years and let's pull all the third world people into the first world on fossil fuels, and that'll probably, we'll be out of it in 30 years. Actually, everything's going to be dead in 20 years. So what the hell? We cannot keep doing this. It's stupid. It's stupid. The false choice is that we either have to do that or we have to go back to an agrarian society, throw all of our technology into the trash, and, just whatever. Go back to be Amish. Be Amish, that's the answer. Well, neither one of those is actually the answer. The answer is something way better. But we've got to get our head out of our ass. We've got to know who we are in order to be trusted with this kind of power and energy. And we've got to trust each other too, because we're all going to scatter into the bushes. Well, a lot of us will. There still will be the main flow and central organizational chain of humanity. It's a loose system of communications and goods and services flowing. We got to get the guns and crap out of this. We need the military, the bombs, and all of the heavily destructive crap. We need that out of the equation. But the only way we're going to do that is if we can bloom the abundance back to a point where we're not all... You know what we're fighting over mostly? Well, we're fighting over money and goods, but what is money? It's our ability to buy into the human supply chain. What is it really these days? It used to be gold, the gold standard. What it is more than anything nowadays, it's a petrodollar. It is a statement of energy. It is my ability to plug my technology, which I also was able to buy on the human supply chain, plug my technology into a power source, a petrodollar. And there is no reason why we are still burning fossil fuels. Now, I always put into this show a little list, my little playlist of love to humanity, and I really should work on it. I'll work on it when I get back. I keep... there is one change I will make. I have been putting in a link to Paul Levy's Butterfly Dreaming. Hereafter, I will be putting in a link to not only Paul Levy's website, but it's not just his website. I will direct you directly to the articles. But you can, from this position, easily find yourself back to all of the rest of his work. He does YouTube videos and stuff, interviews is what I was trying to say. That's mostly what his kind of videos are. They're interviews. He's talking to people about his ideas and where he came from, where his particular story came from. He's the wounded shaman. He had a very harrowing childhood experiences with a relationship with his father, but it's odd because the harrowing, dark, evil, he would call them evil, experiences were psychological in nature. It's not like his father overtly abused him. There was no sexual abuse, or he didn't beat him or anything. It was a psychological torture that he put him through that caused him at one point to to his psyche to break. So his two sides probably just disassociated themselves from one another because his physical mind was absolutely not allowing the other one to do anything. And so he had some time in a mental hospital, and what has brought him out of it, what has brought him to a place of understanding what all that was, and then it has fueled all of his work. This insight was Buddhist philosophy, Carl Jung. He became the archivist or the curator or some sort of important position in the Jung Institute. So he knows he's an avid scholar of Carl Jung and all of his psychological ideas. And then his pet idea that he is talking about is an idea he calls Wetiko. It is a psychic condition. It's a psychic blindness that human beings, go look at his work. And he is also, he pulls quantum physics and understandings of quantum physics, our reality based on an understanding of quantum physics into the picture. He does understand that we are, and this is, a field phenomenon, and we need to understand it from that level. And he also believes that the demon itself contains the seed of its own. The bigger the monster gets, the clearer the truth about ourselves and our own nature becomes. So it's like it is its own medicine, you know? So anyway, I really like his work. He's a little dark in a way. He's got a bit of a dark, and he doesn't come at it from a law of attraction standpoint. He is coming at it from a quantum physics, psychology. He also has a deep sense of how we are dreaming this into being, how we are dreaming this space into being, and that we should do a better job of dreaming and not nightmaring so much. I used to, I think the first article, I am now going to link you just to his articles page. The very first article is the one that I had been linking to you for so long, Butterfly Dreaming. It was the latest one that he sent out. I'm on his mailing list, and so I just liked it. But now I will direct you to all of his articles. He's really quite good. The idea about all of this, people, is to stop quarreling with each other about anything, for one thing. The truth is what all of us are saying added together. So turn to the wise ones and start inputting what they're saying. And add a few of them together into your own soul, and then start looking at yourself and go, holy crap, is that what it is? Wow. It's addition. Quit trying to subtract. Now, the reason we subtract is because focus has you, like making certain things disappear from your view so that you can more clearly, go, because you don't have to look at everything objectively. You don't have to, in that sense, I have to look at every good thing and every bad thing in order to understand. At some point you start getting the gist. You're like, okay, I got it. I see the laws of the universe. I see what's going on around me. I realize that there's a lot of shit that I don't like, that I would like to change. But I have also come to, several times trying has made me realize that when I take off in a direction motivated by some sort of negative pull, even if it was justified, because so for a while my cause, I've had different causes, that I have been pulled to because of outrage about something. Vivisection was a big one for a while. I was absolutely outraged about when I realized what we do, and why we do it. And as a matter of fact, it does pull into a big picture. And at some point, I'm going to pull that topic into this big ass picture. This big picture, it does add into the remember all everything that comes into this picture is the rolling manifestation, the laws of the universe, the history of this movie that we call humanity that's been happening, our nature, source energy, the Planck field, all of that. It all comes into this same picture, and the idea of vivisection is very interesting because although the history of it goes way back, the modern history in the United States, our current laws, the things that relate to it are our legal system, the medical education industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the way our physicians are educated, what modern medicine is, and what we believe ourselves to be in reference to modern medicine. All of that was greatly influenced back in 1913. There was a John D. Rockefeller, who was considered to be a philanthropist, set up all kinds of things. But way back then, there a system of tests and legal hoops and stuff was set up. So his philanthropy involved setting up colleges and I can feel the gist of it. I don't have the details of the words ready to my lips. And I didn't expect to say this, and I was hoping to say it with way less words. Let's see if I can get through it without having to abort, circling back around and starting back to where I was. He set up a system of you do so many animal tests, or he helped to set up these systems, put the money in place, and it do these animal tests, and then you can put these drugs on the market with that's what satisfies the legal qualifications in order to not be sued. And these details of this, of what's required in order for it to be legal, so that then the pharmaceutical industry is not liable for the deaths that they cause, because the pharmaceuticals have caused so many millions of deaths over the last 100 years. It really is quite significant. But in any case, why did I even bring up... it was one of my causes as I became outraged, as I understood this bigger picture and what had happened to our medical, pharmaceutical, legal... Where is our soul here? It was a $7 billion business, I think, back in the 80s when I discovered that it was happening. I was in my early 20s and ready to be a crusader. But what I noticed is anytime that I turn to affect a cause that I care about, but my state of being is negative because I'm outraged, because I'm angry, because I'm frightened, because I'm hurt, because I'm angry, because I'm negative in any way, turns out I don't get where I want to go. It doesn't have the effect that I want it to have, and people are not interested in listening because they don't want me turning them negative. Because they know instinctively, if you get me to go negative, then I have no power anymore. Our power lies with our alignment with our inner being. When we disconnect our alignment with our inner being, then we have no power. And how do you know you have disconnected from your inner being? You're negative. Because the negative state means you have crossed your own energy stream. You've gone the other direction. You are backwards. You are now going... Remember I said there's only two directions? You can either go towards what you want or away from what you want. You there is only those two directions, and you can tell which direction you're going by how you feel. So how can you live in a world where the problems are the problems that they are and not go negative? Well, you have to understand who you really are. You have to understand that no matter what the condition that you see, truly unconditional, no matter what condition that you see around you, you are certain things. So, you are the formless coming into form. And what is determining what form it's coming into? Well, in the human world, what's determining the form that it is coming into, the form of the human field, because we have a very particular thing that we do. The objects that we create around us, everything from the houses and the vehicles and the technologies and the way we do our infrastructure and our publications, and just all of this stuff it changes shape all the time. We can change the shape quickly and see immediately what it is that we're doing. What's happening with us is that we are creating whatever it is. Let's go back to there's only two directions. You are either walking in the direction of where you want to go, or you are walking 180 degrees in the opposite direction of where you want to go. And how you can tell which direction is how you're feeling. So how do you feel good anyway? How do you feel good anyway when you look at the problems that we have on planet Earth? Well, actually, if you spend your time just staring at the problems, you can't feel good. It's very hard to feel good if you just look at the, I'm air quoting, facts on the ground, as other people tell you what these facts on the ground are. The facts on the ground are that there are some things that are in crisis. And there are some beings, human and non, suffering and dying at the hands of human behavior. Now, I can look at that in a general way, and I can keep my alignment with my source, because my source sees that too. My source can see that and does not get freaked out. One of the reasons my source does not freak out about that is because my source understands what my power really is and who I really am. And if I could see that too, then I would understand how to walk in the direction of what I want, which is human coherence, which is peace on earth, goodwill towards men, which is abundance for all, both human and non, which is us repairing the threads of the biofield instead of continuing to snip them, which is us getting along with one another and reblooming planet Earth. And I can see now how to do that. I know what the path out of the wilderness is. Now, I am just nobody. I am nobody. However, I am not nobody, and actually that's the key message, isn't it? We are all somebody. And if you understand at any point where your power is, your power lies in knowing who you are, and then just focusing in the direction of what you want, and continuing to focus in the direction of what you want unrelentingly until we all get it. What I want is what you want. I want us all to get along harmoniously, happily. There's a lot of what we do now that I want us to keep doing. There's a lot of people out there doing things that I think is exactly what we should be doing. We're going on cruises and we're visiting one another's countries, eating each other's food, playing in each other's theme parks. We're playing golf on the golf courses. We're out there with our feet in the water and our toes in the sand. We're laughing, we're playing, we are loving one another. We are swimming with dolphins, and we are amazing playful, joyful, loving otters of the universe. We really are. Now, that doesn't mean that that is all that human beings are, and that certainly is not all that we can be. uh, it's funny, be all that we can be all that you can be in the Army. That's funny. That's the rest of who we are, is that Army self that we are, which there's some really good aspects of that. The, sense of achievement and camaraderie, and, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the socialist feeling, the feeling of brotherhood within the armed forces. There's something very, very powerful and good about that. There is good everywhere, interlaced with, amongst all the things that you don't like, are these things that are good. Good is everywhere. Even amongst all the bad, there is good. And so I think of it as an exercise in discerning baby from bathwater. Because we keep throwing baby and bathwater out all the time. Keep the baby. Quit throwing the baby away. I may not like the military, but there's lots of baby in the military. There's lots of organizational structure. There's lots of know-how. There's lots of know-how about human behavior. Now, of course, it comes from kind of a dark angle. And it's all designed to, to better understand how to blow to smithereens your enemies, of which I have none. So my enemy is polarity. My enemy is ignorance. My enemy is the darkness of misalignment, of which that's plenty enemy. But my enemy does not stand in front of me in any particular form. Now I understand, and I do actually I only call them demons because I think it's funny, because I am trying to marry, superstitious nonsense concepts of the world around us with how this works. When you cross your energy stream, when you go in 180 degrees the opposite direction because you're out of alignment with your true source, and now you're off in the weeds, off by yourself, off without the light shining of your inner being, guiding the path of your footsteps, you're doing that. When you do that, you create a certain kind of energy field. Paul Levy calls it Watiko. It is a thing. It's demons. It's like when you follow your negative self and allow your negative self action in your physical body, in this physical world, you have let the demons drive your car. You are responsible for it because you're the one who let it happen. Now, don't blame yourself, because if you go negative about being negative, then you've just compounded the problem. What you need to understand is who you are and how to find your way back to it. You are good. You are good. You are good. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how bad you're being. Understand that your badness is not an existential read on your eternal worth. Has nothing to do with you going to hell forever. It means you're probably in hell right now, because you are not in alignment with your inner being, because you are not seeing the light that it's trying to shine on your path. What light? What are you talking about? A path of least resistance, a lighted path of love and joy that you can just turn towards. You can release your negative self, understanding who it is. Now, it's going to come back because your equipment is designed to do that. You're designed to understand what you prefer and what you don't prefer. And so your negative self is kind of like, it's okay. Your negative self is designed to give you the reading on the front end. Don't like that. Don't like that. But it's not meant for you to hold on to it as you spin out your broader based pronouncements about the shape of the universe. Your negative mind's not supposed to have anything to do with that. You are fine. You are fine in this universe. You are fine forever in this universe. You are in this body right now. Now, if you happen to lose it, you'll have to grow another. It will take you a minute to grow that avatar, but you could think of it as another opportunity to be born fresh, to start over and get a new running shot at it every single time. Things are always working out for us. This is okay. We are part of an expanding field of understanding. A growing, expanding, evolving field of understanding. And at its connecting point, it is love. And on a practical level, on a virtual level, it's spin. And I see it as we are both autonomous, individuated spins, and at the same time, we are connected to a single spin. And that connectedness to that single spin is how the single spin is connecting us all. And it's connecting us all at the point of love. It really is. It doesn't look like it because we're all moving in all kinds of other directions, but that's where it's connecting us. And if we would all lean in that direction, if you would soften and then open up to your neighbor, you realize pretty quickly, oh, under the crusty asshole exterior of all my neighbors is actually a human being. And we are all one, people. But we don't have to all think alike or act alike or be ordered from the outside. That's what we don't need. We don't need groupthink and lockstep. We don't want to be like that on the outside. We need to understand from the inside our deep, profound, unshakable, unbreakable connection to one another. So we don't have to fight and fuss to get that. And then from your own individual self, whoever you are, be yourself. Now, that some places in the world, being yourself is being part of a bigger outward community. It's true. And if that's who you are, then be that person as lovingly and as supportingly. And actually, these rules that I'm talking about your focus and your alignment still apply. You know, apply all the more. You still are an individual self within the greater self that you are a part of, that bigger group, even if it's North Korea. You know, I don't know how to get this nutshell into North Korea, but that would be great if we could. Get it in as a nutshell so that people can understand, can put into place. But it's hard. I have come to it because I have been free to think my thoughts for all of my life. And I realize as a human being how blessed I have been to do so, especially as a girl, you know. Because girls have not always been allowed to think their own thoughts, and still on this planet today, there are many women who are not allowed to think their own thoughts. But if you find the information about who you really are, and you can get into a position where you lock on to the signals coming from your inner being, you do still have power. Now, I always come to this slide at one point just because this is my representation, my visual representation of the source mind and your physical specific mind. And I also said that it's your state of being that is determining everything. What state of being you are in as you address the physical manifestation is everything. And if you're in a positive state of being, you are going in the direction of where you want to go. If you are in a negative state, now I'm not talking about, so if you're in a negative state of being, you might still be going in the direction but are you acting? we're talking about acting, action. Are you committing action from one of these states of being? So we're committing action at this point, and the state of being that you're in means everything. So if you're in a negative state while you are acting, you are literally moving in the direction of not where you want to go. You're not going to be happy. All you're going to get that direction is lessons. You're not going to get any fun. You're just going to get lessons. Now, ultimately, some of those realizations might be quite profound, but you might be, taking those lessons from behind a jail cell, or, at least with a black eye or a bloody lip, or, whatever. You are walking in the direction of what you do not want when you are acting from a negative state. Now, if you are in a general state of negativity, you're just like generally pissed about stuff, then you're moseying in that direction. If you are very specific and very negative, then you are hurtling yourself in the wrong direction. Now, we've been watching a show on Netflix about Hitler, and it's interesting. Hitler was very, very negative. All of his motivation was based on things he was angry about, things he was pissed about, things he was outraged about, things that he thought should not be, and we have to fix this. And then he got very, very specific and very, very clear. And his message had a great deal of momentum that started sucking all kinds of other people into it who resonated with that same negative message. And that's exactly what that was. That was a field phenomenon, people. And we need to be very careful about that. Just because we have an authoritarian wannabe is possibly going to win the election, whether he wins it or not, he is going to show up on January 20th to be inaugurated, surrounded by his people, because he's going to be convinced that he did win, whether he did or not. And so we're going to be faced with an interesting phenomenon here in the United States. And I would suggest that if we want to weather that we keep our good humor about us. Because the second that we turn negative about it, then we have joined the demon. And the demon becomes a huge demon that stalks our nation. We've got to remember who we are. We've got to know that your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. And I don't care if he is flying a MAGA flag. He's got to be... Well, anyway. So where do we want to go with this? Did I put my list in? Now, this list is going to be slightly different, because down here where it says links to butterfly dreaming, instead of link to butterfly dreaming, I'm going to put in a link to Paul Levy's whole articles list, so you can just go back and kind of get a sense of what his ideas were. Now, I find it incredibly useful when you start swallowing. I'm going to go back to my original picture just to rest for a minute, so I'm not on those stark, ugly pictures that I use for my demonstrations. If you run across, what do I mean by swallowing people's ideas? Philosophers who are trying to sum up big pictures, those are the good ones to swallow. Absorb them, and all you're doing is saying to yourself, what is this person looking at? I wonder what this person is looking at. I wonder if I can see what this person is looking at. And then when you see it, then you're like, oh, I see what you're saying. That's interesting. Now back up to your own self and just keep going with your life and swallow another one. It's sort of like a cosmic exercise of the blind men and the elephant. And what you're doing as you swallow the philosophers is you're trying to understand the elephant. And what is the elephant? The elephant is, who am I? Who are we? What is this? What is this? Who is God? What's the force that is organizing us? What is the point of this exercise I'm in? That's all of that is the elephant. And each and every one of us has our own little particular view on it, our own particular vantage point on the same elephant in a way. But this elephant is really big. It's way bigger than even just the outward physical manifestation of the earth that you think you're standing on. It's way bigger than that. There's dimensions and dimensions, and there's way more than just one earth. My desire to live on one earth does not encroach upon your desire to live on another one. You do not have to force me to understand or not understand anything in order for you to have the experience you want. I can walk directly to an earth that works while you walk in whatever way you want to a world that is going to be apocalyptical, possibly. Or at least I've come to believe that I might as well act that way. And it helps free me from an enslavement to believing that I have to outwardly change you. I don't have to change anybody. My message doesn't have to land on anybody's ears in any particular way, and I don't have to keep score or keep track. I just know that somehow I am walking in the direction of what I want. If I can keep focused upon what I want, then that focus thing is really what the subtraction people are trying to do. They're trying to clear their vision in any particular moment, but you can't subtract any frequencies from the whole picture. If it's there, it's there. You can't subtract it out. But you don't have to look at it. Your focus can go anywhere. That's what's good about your focus. You can focus in a specific way. My suggestion is, though, wait for a positive opportunity. Do not focus in on a negative way. I have tried a couple of other times in my life to directly affect things from a negative point of view. Once I was married to an alcoholic, and I was very unhappy about certain aspects of the way things about his behavior. And from that negative standpoint, I found that I could not change or fix any of that. And then in 2016, I became a little bit alarmed after our election, because I am a student of history, and the Holocaust and Nazis were one of my favorite things to study. And you could definitely feel the sameness of spirit in the resonating anger party, and there's just samenesses. There's lots and 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 lots of differences to people, although, so fear not. This need not play out the same way that it played out last century. As a matter of fact, it likely won't. But there will be some pocket spirit things that will be same-ish. And all of that was ugly. It was an angry spirit. An angry, ugly spirit. And some of that is rising in the field, for sure. That angry, ugly spirit. It's a disconnected, misaligned, not knowing who we are kind of spirit. And I believe that a bit of information, a bit of loving kindness, a bit of light and illumination can help diffuse some of that, so that we do not spin off the deep end and into the gas chambers. We don't want to go there. Don't want to go there. Did that. Been there, done that. Saw that. Very interesting. Fascinating. Don't need to do that again. Anyway, so I see that I have passed an hour. I only have about a half an hour left. What do I want to do with it? I do promise that we talk about who am I in terms of our biotechnology. And you got to know that we do have significant genetic evidence within our in our genes. You can see some possibly what I believe. I'm gonna just go right out on a limb and say that I think that this is evidence of us being genetically modified. Now, I say these words baldly. Greg Braden alludes to this, but he doesn't say these words baldly. I think he does not want to be discredited in some areas by saying something too controversial in another area, because he does pride himself in being very grounded and stable within the scientific thought frame. Now, but this is his slide, and it's his information that made me go look and find. So this is his slide, the origin of human chromosome number 2, which turns out to be, this is also his slide. Well, I mean, you can see this slide on the internet that's not his slide, but you can see this is his. You can see his little picture up in the upper right. It looks like it was probably part of a moving picture, because he's got the look of someone who's been caught mid-word. But anyway, this is a diagram of the human neocortex. As you can see, the way this is diagrammed out, it's like an overview layer of mind. It's like your physical mind's overview. Your source mind is your true overview, the one that's actually in touch with all of reality. But this one is one that is capable of lining up with that real one and understanding the real truth of stuff. But it's not going to be the one that's going to lead the way to the understanding, but it can line up with your source mind, and then in its physicality can understand quite a bit. That's actually what I'm doing. What I try to do, that's my goal, my intention anyway, is to line up my two minds up and then understand this physical world around me. As I don't focus on it too heavily, and I certainly don't try not to focus on things that I don't like, although there's these big things that I think we need to get out ahead of. We don't even have to look at our problems from a negative point of view. Because when we understand how cool we are and how absolutely possible it is for us to fix all of our problems by focusing in the proper direction, dream it into place, people. Dream what you want into place, because honestly, this point that where we all meet is like the point of loving desire. That's where it is. And so it's that point. We have a place where all of our desires meet one another. Now, I'm not saying that every single desire that I have is actually, I probably have lots of desires that are not in alignment. If I have the desire, for instance, to conquer the world, that is absolutely not in alignment with the rest of the field. I may be able to create a certain momentum that direction and even get a number of people to believe it and follow it and go that way. But it is a dead-end street. There is no sustainable momentum that direction, because it is not in the rest of the field don't want that. And the rest of the field has its desires too. And there is only one of us here, and all of our desires count, actually. And there is a point of higher win-win position. Now, it is my intention for us to find that. Anyway, I've lost track of my thread of thought. I was talking about the neocortex and it being your overview mind. And this is a Greg Braden a slide. And this is a Greg Braden slide. And if you follow the roadmap here, I went, what is this Proconadal Akkad Psi USA? What is that? Googled that. It turns out that's the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, pnas.org. And it is absolutely open source, free. You don't have to put your email address. You don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to write your name. Just go look. Just go look. You can find this volume 88, It came out in October 15th, 1991. There's 2 volumes came out in 1991. This one is in October 15th volume. And it wasn't easy following this by page number. So what I did, I had to just I read all of the article names until I found this one. And it was the 40th article in Origin of Human Chromosome Number 2 and Ancestral Telomere to Telomere Fusion. Now, 76% of the neocortex volume comes from human chromosome number 2, which turns out is a very, very fishy looking chromosome. It is 2 chromosomes fused together. Look at the abstract here, the full abstract, and look at the conclusion. We conclude that is the relic of an ancient telomere to telomere fusion and marks the point at which 2 ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. I think this is the missing link, and I believe that it is more likely that this was done intentionally than that this happened naturally and accidentally. And when you realize what our emotions, I'm sorry, my chair squeaks. If you realize what our human emotions are capable of as they sing to the field, as we learn to focus in the direction of what we want, we can just focus on what we want, people, and we can just move right to our problems being solved. Now, the biggest thing we need to do is we need to get off fossil fuels, and we need to understand that we have been lied to. We have been manipulated, but the only reason they've been able to do it is because we don't know who we are. When we know who we are not manipulatable. And we'll be able to turn this ship around. We will be able to understand that we do not have to be on fossil fuels, and that the idea of we either stay on fossil fuels or we go backwards in time is a false paradigm. We can go forward in time. We just need to plug into source energy. And to do that, we need to understand the mathematics of it. Here's the latest paper that has come out from Nassim Haramein, The Origin of Mass, Nature of Gravity. This one was published back in September of 2023. The first paper that he published was in 2012. December 12th, 2012, as a matter of fact, as he published the paper that unified the mathematics between the quantum world and the cosmological world. Now, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Well, it seems odd the way that it, so this right here, this is screenshot captures from the last paper, from the one from, and I leave a link in the links list that I showed for just a second. I showed the links list. I think I showed the links list. Let me finish this and then I'll go back and show the links list. This explains all about everything being black holes all the way up and all the way down, and Hawking radiation from a black hole proton, and all of the screening mechanisms, space-time pixelization, quantum structure of space-time, the Casimir effect, and on the at the hadronic scale, here the electromagnetic quantum vacuum fluctuations, Planck length, how you come to that. What it is, we're going to show the Planck units in just a second. And here's Max Planck, and this is actually from the paper, not from the video. The first 13 slides were from the video. This one is from the paper itself. I like this one because it's showing the relationship, the mathematical relationship between all of the Plancks in the Planck field of a single proton and all of the protons in all of the universe. This inward, outward, this mathematical relationship between the two of them. And then here's the Planck units. And how you get a Planck unit is you take a photon going at the speed of light, cross its own diameter, and And that's the length that it goes, and it's not very long, of course. And that's the time that it takes to do that. Well, it doesn't take very long to do that. And then there's a little tiny bit of mass associated with that little blip of energy, because energy and mass have an equivalency, E equals mc squared and all that. Anyway, those are the Planck units. And what is the universe made up of? A seething, highly energetic sea of Plancks, all touching one another. Where they are organized, where they are spinning, it looks like matter. Where they are not spinning, it's just source energy, and that actually turns out to be the 96% of it's the dark energy and the dark mass that the conventional scientists are still looking for. When you add in the spin of the field, when you add in the energy of the quantum fluctuations, you get the right mass of the universe. So actually, it's just so cool. The universe is sort of it's kind of something that your mind has to bend just a little bit to understand how the quantum and the cosmological fit together, and you and consciousness turn out right in the center of that. And as a matter of fact, you are literally in the center of that. And every point everywhere is the center. So you are sitting at the center of the center of the center. And when you start getting into the center of the center of the center of your center, that's when you start clicking into the morphogenetic fields of the data stream bigger and bigger and bigger around you. As a matter of fact, this is the perfect time to do Nassim's little quote. I haven't quoted this one for a while, and this is the perfect place for this quote. So, when you integrate yourself as a biological being, you connect with the morphogenetic field of the planet. When you integrate yourself at the atomic level, you connect with the solar system. At the level of the proton, you integrate with the galaxy, and when you get all the way down to the Planck, you integrate with the universe. And that is both, it's literally true. Somehow wrap your head around that. It's literally true. The deeper that you get into the center of the center of the center of the center of your own self, the more clearly you start perceiving the actual universe around you. You start clicking into its needs. You start feeling the alignment of its desires. You know? Anyway. So anyway, I've kind of lost my steam here for a second. I have about 10 minutes left, 13 minutes left, and I don't know whether why do I know we can get off fossil fuels? Is that what I want to talk about? That doesn't feel like there's any energy going there that direction. I just know we can. Our carbon footprint upon the planet. We shouldn't even be having to worry about a freaking carbon footprint. That's such a... And carbon... Actually, all of the crap that they keep throwing at us, even the idea of clean fusion, cold fusion, that's supposed to be the Holy Grail, right? It ain't the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is, first and foremost, everybody understanding, A, what has been stolen from us. And you can get outraged for a minute. As a matter of fact, spend an afternoon getting outraged. Dance around your living room. Get outraged. But don't take any major action just yet. Wait until you get back into alignment. Wait until you recover from being upset about how the fossil fuel industry has been duping us for a century. But they have been duping us because we've been dupable. And now we just need no longer be dupable, and we can just walk away from them. The first thing that's going to get us off fossil fuel, is 1,000 incremental great ideas. Now, why do we not already have those 1,000 incremental great ideas? Because they have been stolen from us. Because they have been ruthlessly suppressed to the point of murder and everything up to murder. But wonderful ideas, running internal combustion engines on mostly water. Solar panels that were way too efficient. Many, 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 many great ideas. Engines that operate, that lock onto a frequency out in outer space and just steady state, just put out power. There's all kinds of great ideas that have come to light that people have tried to take to the patent office because they want to have a lock on, they want to build their own energy empire. And every time they got knocked down because the fossil fuel industry saw all of these things as a threat, not only to their, sometimes it's well-meaning people who think to themselves, oh my God, we can't have this kind of power in the hands of everyday Joe. But at some point, that's what's going to happen. It's going to bust out, and our big threat for a while is going to be too much energy in the hands of too many idiots who don't know who they are. But we'll get over that. The first thing is incrementally we get off of fossil fuels and we power our fabulous technologies in. Eventually, we're going to get to solid state devices, no moving parts, and you just dial your technology into the frequency that your little solid state device is just radiating. I'm sure that's how that works. That's where we get to eventually, but until then, we start incrementally getting off of fossil fuels by virtue of all these great ideas that we get the news out to America, to the world, that these ideas are possible. People in the fancy education places are being taught that it's not possible. And the reason they're being taught that is because they're being taught that you can't create energy out of nothing. Well, that's not what these devices are doing. They are assuming a closed system going in there. There is no such thing as a closed system. So both of those things are shattered by a better understanding of who we are and how this field that we are swimming in works. How is reality coming into being? How is reality coming into being? Well, look at this paper. It's called The Origin of Mass and the Nature of Gravity. And this mathematical understanding is also going to help us get off of the surface of the planet. It's going to free us from gravity. It's going to make us a true sci-fi intergalactic species. This crap that Elon Musk, who's such a joke, and even our own United States space program, the outward-facing space program anyway. I hate to say that it's a joke because my husband spent 40 years of his life working in it. And he's going to have a hard time ever really... Well, you don't have to discount it. It was the vehicle that got us to here. But now we need to go farther. We need to truly understand who we are and the nature of this field that we are swimming in so that we can tap into it for energy, so that we can move through it more efficiently, so that we can actually get to the other side of the galaxy. Do you know how far it is to the other side of the galaxy by conventional methods? or by the conventional route, by the straight line that takes us on the outward track from here to the other side of the galaxy. It's so freaking far that even going at the speed of light, it would just take you way, way, way too long. And we can't go anywhere near the speed of light. So that's not the way to go. Turns out that the information of the other side of the galaxy is right here with me right now. And it's not just the dry information, it's the moving information. Because it's updating every Planck second and passing this information across all the scales. That's what's happening. And us really understanding what's happening is going to help us really understand how to create goods, how to move through the field, how to get up off the surface of the planet, how to plug our technology into something better. All of these things are possible. And we just need to dream them into place. And how you do it is by focusing on what you want, focusing on what you want, focusing on what you want, focusing on what you want. Quit looking at what you don't want. Focus on what you want. And get clear about it. Quit crossing your own energy stream. That crossing of your personal energy stream is affecting us all. You doing that is creating a demon in the field that I've got to deal with. And the thing is I've got the propensity for the same damn demon. Demon does not have a D on the end of it. I have the same propensity because I have the same psychic setup. And the psychic setup that I have happens to be this binary system of vibrational minds, my source one that I may not know about, and my specific one that I do know about. That's the one that I have control over the thoughts. And my emotions are a result of what thoughts I take about the world around me. When those thoughts produce negative emotion, that means that thought that I just took might have some immediate truth, but it has no real truth or validity in my evaluations of anything. So I might have a thought, my neighbor is an asshole. And it makes me feel bad because now I live next to an asshole and I can't do anything about his behavior. And what the hell am I going to do? So now I feel bad. There may be some validity in the sense that he's being an asshole. I don't like that word. I should quit saying it. The reason I shouldn't say it is because I remember really not liking that word. And some people may not like that word. So I should quit saying it. Anyway, he's being a jerk. He really is being a jerk. You get a hit that says he's a jerk. Well, that doesn't produce good feelings in you. So pull it back out. Okay, in this moment, he is behaving in an out of alignment manner, and look at how chaotic it is, and that does not feel good to me. That's all valid. That's all good. That's true. Now, you don't feel so bad. As a matter of fact, you feel a little sorry for the guy. You still want to stay away from him, and you would like to figure out a way to resolve whatever the fence line issue or whatever the tree, whatever the issue is between you and your neighbor. I actually don't have any issues with my neighbors at the moment. I like my neighbors and I get along well with them. I irrigate with them effectively. We had a downstream neighbor that we all didn't like irrigating with him, but he went on to an agricultural well system, so he's not on the ditch anymore. He irrigates his own stuff from a deep well that's and sprinklers and soakers, and who cares? I don't know. Doesn't matter. See how I'm going down a specific line? So that's your job as your specific self, but just know that you need to be paying attention to how you feel as you take thoughts. Don't be so married to thoughts just because you imagine without examination that the thought that you have taken is valid and true and useful. You take that thought. If it doesn't feel good, spit it right back out. Take a different one. Take a different angle. Take a different tack. Find one that feels better. If you can't, take care of yourself until you know that you are valuable. Know that who you really are feels good. Who you really are is happy. Who you really are is interested. Who you really are is fun and loves fun and wants joy and wants family and wants connection and wants all of those things. Who you really are is that. And so if you aren't being that, find a way. Understand. Take care of yourself. Think a different thought. Take a different thought on the situation until you can find your way. That in itself, probably not that valuable of a sentence, but if you take all of my teachings, all combined, you will start seeing the elephant that I'm trying to describe. By the way, what is that story? I don't know how many, the blind men and the elephant, all of them trying to describe an elephant, and they're all kind of doing a different job. If they start, ooh, it's 7 o'clock. That means we have to log into our flight. Ooh, it's that time. This time tomorrow morning, we are flying to Connecticut. All right. I'll just finish that up since I passed an hour and a half. About the blind men and the elephant, each one of them trying to describe, one saying, it's like a sail. An elephant is like a sail because he's standing by the ear. No, an elephant is like a rope because the guy's standing by the tail. No, an elephant is like a tree because he's standing by the leg. No, he's like a snake because, you get the picture. And the idea is that everyone is looking at the same elephant and they're all trying to describe the same thing. And so the idea is not to say you're right, try to decide which amongst all the blind men are right about it, but to add them all in. Anyway, that's the root of addition consciousness. It's one of my little pet ideas. I never did show this, the 5 kleshas. These are from Buddhist philosophy, considered to be the root causes of all suffering. And you can see for yourself how that relates to the conversation we had today. How about this one? Do I want this picture? I like chameleons. We lived in Africa for a couple of years, and chameleons are really cool. Here's a little guy. All right. Well, I guess I will see you in today's the 13th. I will be back on the 24th. So until then, if you are jonesing for my voice, if you miss me, and I hope you do, go back in the past, and I have 90 some episodes that I have posted. Almost all of them public facing. So go back and find one that you haven't watched and or listened to, because it's mostly just listened to. The slides are just kind of on the side there. Mostly just listen to me. In any case, until I see you again, know that I love you. You are part of me. We are one. There is only one of us here. And in that light, in that spirit, I wish you well. I bid you peace, and may the source be with you.